Hey besties, welcome back to the channel. I know. At this point, we're just gonna have to be okay with bestie popping in and out when I feel fit, because life has been lifing, okay? If you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to my vlog channel. I'll have the link in the description box because I will be posting over there like more day-to-day things about my life, so you guys are updated, so you know when I'm not posting these videos, there is a reason. But yeah, I miss you guys. I've seen all the comments, I've seen all the DMs. I'm not neglecting you guys. A lot has been going on, okay? So during my little hiatus, I have been just like resting and like getting my health together, and I decided, let me binge watch a little show. Everybody was talking about Swarm. I could not get away from it. Like, I could not like literally open Twitter without seeing someone talking about Swarm. So here we are talking about Swarm. I got sucked into the Hive. And now this is all I can see when I log on to social media, and it's all I really want to talk about right now because I have to get it off my chest. And who better to talk to about it than my besties? So I'm like, let's get up, let's get it together, and let's film this video. For those of you who are OG besties and you've seen all of my videos, you remember my New Year is in the spring video, then you know that we have officially entered the new year. So happy New Year, besties. Spring equinox is here and just days feel lighter, the sun is out longer, everything is just, it just makes me so happy. I'm one of those people with serious seasonal depression, and me in the winter just don't really do too well. Like, I just it's not my thing. So comment down below, let me know how you guys are doing, how you're feeling this spring, how Aries season is treating everyone so far. And yeah, so if you're ready to get into Swarm, make sure you have your wine, your water, or your rolling tray, or whatever you need to tune in with me. And now we can get into this video. Like, who are you to close off Earth? For legal reasons, if any kids are watching, you're working out. Who's your favorite artist? Swarm is a new series on Amazon Prime that centers around a crazed fan who is obsessed with Naija. Clearly, we all know that Naija is Beyonce, right? Okay, because I don't understand why there was ever any debate about that. I mean, I've seen a lot of people, like, you know, coming to their senses. I don't understand how people were really arguing, oh, it could be about this, it's about Beyonce, the whole show. And yes, we could insert, oh, well, this could be about the Barbs, or this could be about this person's. It's not. None of it was. It could be about, like, maybe they can give a season 2 and then talk about the Barbs, or they can do some more. This show is about Beyonce. It's not up for debate. Already, the show starts. It's called Swarm. Bees, hives, in a trance. We have a serial killer as the main character. Every time she even thinks about killing, she hears bees buzzing. Like, Beyonce, the beehive, like, you guys. First thing I want to mention, not just about it being called Swarm, but just outside of the show too, like Beyonce's whole fan base, the Hive, and her being Queen Bee. When you think about Hive Mind and the Hive mentality, a lot of people don't have a mind of their own. Hive Mind mentality is when a person has a strong tendency to fall for group thinking. And if someone has this Hive mentality, they might feel like they start to feel morally correct when they're in a certain group. So it's like, because she's doing these things for Naija, she's doing these things that any fan would do, that she sees people talking about what they would do online. You feel part of this community, you feel like this is right, so you're willing to go the extra mile and drop all of what you know is right and wrong, because now you feel like something validates it. So let's start from episode 1. We are 2 seconds into this episode, and on our screen, this is not fiction. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, is intentional. Again, how anything was ever up for debate. Alright, so y'all know me, like, you know what we're here to really talk about. Like, I don't really care to break down the entire show. I will be talking about certain Easter eggs that happen throughout the show, of course, because a lot of it does have to do with things that happen in real life too that we're gonna get into. But first, we have to start off with this scene with Chloe Bailey and Damson Idris. What was the reason? What was the reason? What? And then she had the nerve to do an interview and be like, he made me feel so comfortable, and there was a bouncy ball in between us, and we were, girl. And then she said it made her cry, the reading the script, and then she was like, girl, you gotta do that sex scene. Why did she have to? I'm trying to figure out why was that in there? And I know, like, the whole thing about, like, showing how Dre was, like, obsessed with her and watching her. It was so uncalled for her, though, like, as an artist and as an actress. They've used body doubles for less. Billie Eilish couldn't make it to her show and use the body double. We've seen Akon say that his brother stood in for him for many different occasions throughout his career because he couldn't do it. We've seen Rihanna doubles walk around. We've seen the Kanye doubles. Like, why couldn't they? We see that happen in movies all the time too. They don't want to do the scene, so they'll just have somebody say. She could have turned down that scene, but no, they had her in that scene. And right on time for her new album. We are not going to leave that out. Right on time for her new album to release, because it was a ritual. They knew that this is what was going to get people talking. This is what was going to have her in the media, have everyone looking at her different. It was just, it was so uncalled for. But whatever. Let's skip to Dre buying. We're starting off with showing how serious she is about her love with Naija, right? She buys these tickets to surprise Marissa with for her birthday after getting a credit card online, and they need to pay rent. So we have to keep that in mind. She needs to make her half of the rent, and she's cracking cards online so that she could buy concert tickets. So we already see where her priorities are. We see how serious she is about Naija. And where have we seen this at? In real life. We've seen people not paying their rent, selling their shoes, selling their cars, their kids didn't eat last week because they wanted those Beyonce tickets. And, like, I know a lot of it is jokes, but a lot of it is real. Like, there's actually people who do this. Like, her fans take her this serious. And other fan groups and stuff like that. But we're talking about the Hive today. So, like, already we see that Marissa, Chloe Bailey's character, is fed up with Dre before she even finds out about the tickets. Like, she doesn't even know that she spent her money on concert tickets, but she knows that she hasn't made her rent. So she's just pissed off. Like, all right, like, this is getting out of hand. Like, I can't keep paying for you. So now we can get into Dre talking to Ali about Naija, because he's, like, just trying to tell her, like, she's a regular person, right? Like, like, she's just like a normal chick from Houston, just like you. And she's like, no, she's not like everyone else. Like, she knows what we're thinking. She gives it a name. She's a goddess. Like, she's really so disconnected that she doesn't see this artist as a human. Like, she doesn't see her on the same level as the rest of society, and that's scary. Like, we have to stop putting these people on pedestals. Like, that's insanity. So she's basically telling him that she got these concert tickets to surprise Marissa with, and him knowing this tells Marissa that he's still taking her to Atlanta for the weekend, even though he knew that Dre had plans for them. Dre tells Marissa that this is her plan, like, she wants to take her to the concert. Marissa's like, no, I'm moving in with Khalid. And she's telling her, like, no, he cheats on you. Like, he doesn't care about you. He tried to talk to me and all this stuff. And she ends up leaving. She's like, whatever, I'm out. She gets in her car. She dips off. So we think. Because Dre is seriously an unreliable narrator. We know this. If you watch the show, you know that she is. So as far as we know right now, Marissa left. Right? All of a sudden, Naija drops this surprise album, Festival, which is clearly a reference to Beyonce's Lemonade, Renaissance, yeah, like, her whole little thing that she does, but mostly her Lemonade album, I'm sure, if it was 2016. Like, we know how when Beyonce just drops her, little surprises, the Hive goes insane, and everybody world stop, carry on, like, literally, like, they stop what they're doing, they do not waste any time. That's what their focus is. So, like any fan, Dre stops and sits in front of the TV and is in a trance. Like, literally, just everything starts going purple. And then all of a sudden, we're seeing her, and this is a pretty frumpy chick. Like, let's keep in mind, like, me personally, watching it, like, within the first, before I knew that she was a serial killer, I was just like, this girl's on the spectrum. Like, something is, like, she just doesn't, like, she just wasn't fitting in. And I was just like, and, like, not even trying to, like, go the extra mile, like, diagnose anybody. I'm just saying, when you know, and what she was portraying was a lot of what it looks like, you know. So she gets like in this trance, and from her going from this frumpy, quiet, you know, like in her shell chick, she's dressed in all purple, the color of illusion, at Fantasyland, and she's in a club which is only playing Naija music. She walks straight in and goes straight for this random white man who's happens to be Macaulay Culkin's brother, but whatever. She walks straight for him and grabs him and says, "Let's dance." Where did this confidence come from, Miss Man? Like, I'm so confused. They dance all night, end up back at his apartment, and I guess they slept together after Khalid was just calling her a virgin, like, earlier that day. Okay. So now she slept with this random white man, and she goes to the bathroom to charge her phone and to use the bathroom, and she sees all these text messages from Marissa saying, "Please come get me. You were right. Khaled's a cheater. He cheated on me. He left me stranded." First of all, where did he leave you stranded at? Second of all, you took the car when you left, so you were in your own car, but you're stranded. Now she's right. He's a cheater when you just was telling her that she was it's just not adding up to me. And then while she's on the FaceTime, it looks like she's like in a bed under a cover, but saying she's stranded. Where are you stranded at? I'm so confused. Like, it was just none of this was adding, like, this whole scene was not adding up to me from the beginning. I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. And then, like, she's texting her and she's basically just saying, like, you know, you were right, he's a cheater, I'm so sorry, I love you, I need you. Like, listening to the Naija album, and she's like, oh my god, she's speaking to my soul, she is me, I can't believe it, because Naija, Beyonce's husband, cheated on them, and everybody found out through the music. And everything is so dramatic. It's all so dramatic. Even when Beyonce and Jay-Z actually do it in real life, it's so dragged out and it's so dramatic. And then he replies on 444, and we're gonna get into his little part in the show too. Yeah, so she's like texting her, the album is speaking to her heart and all this stuff. She's speaking for her. She runs out the apartment, she gets home, finds Marissa in the bed. So now Marissa's dead. Because she killed herself listening to Beyonce album. This same Marissa, the same strong-minded, you know, well, you know, semi-strong. I don't even know. Again, because Drea's an unreliable narrator, we don't even really know what a lot of these things looked like for real. But then this is where we get into the real life, you know, parallels of the show. And how a lot of the things that we hear, like, that get, like, debunked and all that stuff, like, it sounds so far-fetched, but people know. And then they try to turn it into shows and movies and make it a joke for everyone, and everybody's just like, oh no, it's a show. And then they told us it's reality, but it's really fiction. But they said it was fiction, but then they said it's not fiction. They said it was intentional, but then it was fake, and then it was a hoax. And then it gets smashed around so many times that nobody knows, and everybody just forgets. And they're just like, you know what, it doesn't even matter if it's real or not. But it does, because in 2014 there were rumors and articles of a Beyonce fan that was a member of the Church of B, which is like a whole church dedicated to Beyonce, ran by people who are obsessed with her. She supposedly unalived herself and had a whole shrine of Beyonce memorabilia around her and left a note saying, like, you know, Beyonce was her Lord and Savior, basically. And then there was another set of rumors in 2016 that a fan name, I believe her name was Marissa Jackson, and that's who the Marissa character was based on, unalived herself listening to Beyonce's Lemonade album. And these claims were later swept under the rug and debunked. Everyone just kind of went on with life because, you know, it's just crazy things that people say and things that just happen. And then you start to realize how many coincidences before it's not a coincidence anymore. Off rip, like, after seeing that scene, I feel like Dre killed Marissa, and she never left. She never went out that night. She killed Marissa. She stayed in front of that TV in a trance, and that's what happened. And as we get further into the show, I'll explain more of why I really, really think she killed Marissa. But I don't think Marissa deleted herself from the simulation. Marissa's funeral. Again, having Chloe in that casket like that, it was just very weird. It all just felt like the scene, the casket, it was just using Chloe, who was Beyonce's actual protege. Like, we know that's baby Beyonce. To use her in this show was like so symbolic. I just feel like that was not for no reason. And there was no reason for her to really be in the show if they were going to kill her the first episode. But because of the way they did it, it just really felt like, remember when I was saying that Chloe and Halle was going to go solo, and everybody's like, how do you know that? They were burning the C and the H, and they were doing all of this symbolism, and it was like killing off the old them and then moving into this new stage. And Halle went on to be the Little Mermaid. Chloe went on to be this baby Beyonce that we see. The symbolism is always there, and it's always very obvious. Chloe is about to go next level. Like, they're really setting her up to be that next girl, like, you know. And then now we get to see the rebirth of this new Chloe on her album. Like I said, right on time. And Dre and Marissa are supposed to be sisters, like, as far as we know of them in the show. But at the funeral, when Dre gets there, they tell her that the family doesn't want her there. The family, not your family, the family doesn't want you here, so you gotta go. And after she leaves, she sees this beehive, and it looks like the Baphomet head, which I thought was like really interesting that they had it there like that. After she gets back home from the funeral, we can see her like distressed, and she texts Marissa because that's like her go-to thought in her head is like, I'm gonna text my sister. And the phone goes off, and it's on the charger in the house, like over there. That was already like, that was the major red flag. So Marissa, right? I'm listening to the Beyonce album. I'm so sad. I'm gonna kill myself. What? How did she even do it? Like, they didn't even tell us how. Did she take pills? Did she like what? Did she choke herself in the bed? Like, I need details. But either way, as she's laying in the bed and texting Dre and also tweeting about listening to the album supposedly and dying, she got up from the bed to put her phone on the charger all the way across the room. If I know I'm about to kill myself, why would I charge my phone? I think like these are questions people need to be asking. So after she's texting herself from Marissa's phone now, because now she has both phones, and they come up together with a plan that she needs to now go confront Khalid because this is his fault. So she goes to his house, they're talking, she kills him. This is her first kill of the show that we know of, that we're seeing. And she's like, you know, like full horror movie, like, you know? And while she's all bloody, literally like dripping, she goes into the fridge and takes out a scoop of pie and eats the pie, blood and all, everything just together. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm all serial killers are a step away from cannibals to me. Like, I know there are specific serial killers who are cannibals, but I feel like they like you lick the blood, you would eat the person. Something wrong. There's something wrong. She's crazy. Then it continues for like the rest of the show. Every time she eats, or every time she's overwhelmed and needs to see Nyjah, she's eating. It's just her and this junk food, bro. It's out of line. So now we're in episode 2. She completely left her old town, and now she is a stripper. That first scene of her being a stripper was the funniest part of the show for me. Like, why? Like, it was just so uncomfortable to watch, but that was the point. She couldn't dance a lick, and then later she could, but she became a whole stripper just so that she could stalk a Nyjah and a Marissa hater, because this man went on Twitter and he mocked Marissa's death and was talking about Nyjah's music. That was the last straw for her, so she said, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of you. So now she's just on a tour of unaliving Nyjah haters. We get introduced to this other stripper girl. Her name is Halsey, and she's played by Paris Jackson, which was really funny because there was this whole scene about her saying, I broke up with my last boyfriend because he couldn't accept me being black. And she's like, you're black? And she's like, yeah, my dad's half. And Michael Jackson being her dad in real life, but like, not. Listen. She ends up becoming friends with Paris, and like, Paris is like clearly looking for a friend because she's in this abusive relationship. So she's like, hey, you want to go out to eat? And then Dre's like, no. And then she's like, I'm paying. So then Dre's like, okay. So she goes with her. Then they're hanging out. So then Dre drops her back home, and she's like, come in with me. Like, come in. He'll know that, like, you know, whatever. So they go in. Dre sees that Paris's boyfriend is trash, and she ends up like dipping out, like just sneaking out while they're arguing. At some point, Dre goes back and kills Paris's boyfriend. While she's burying him, Paris comes and shows up and she's talking, and Dre cannot do all this. She's used to, so far, you know, she's killed one man now that we know, and she likes her alone time and she likes her crazy time. This girl was interrupting her too much. She just shoots Paris, like, please stop speaking. Now she has 2 bodies to get rid of. She goes back to the strip club and magically she can dance. So it's like she took on Halsey's whole persona or whatever. Like, we didn't get to see her dance, but from what you hear, like, you know, you're hearing and how much money she was accumulating, you can take that she's probably, you know, one of the better dancers. And now here's Dre cashing in money and dancing all, you know, dancing for real. And now the girls are talking to her and they're like, hey, like, the girls back in the dressing room and they're like, hey, we need a designated driver to drive us to this like frat house, like, just come with us. On their way to this frat party, the girls like are talking to her or whatever, and they asked her like, you know, what does she listen to? She's like, Naja, and she's like just talking about Naja, and they like, girl, you weird or whatever. So that was first straw, like, you don't call Dre weird. So on their way back from this party, the car conveniently breaks down. And who comes to fix the car? The man, Reggie, that she came all the way down here for. She became a stripper so that she could ask this man's friend where he is, because she knows that he frequently goes to this strip club. So she's been back and forth just like trying to run into Reggie, and now magically here he is on the side of the road helping them fix their car. It's almost like it's weird because the way the show is set up, you're like, is she strategically doing this, or are these things just like falling into her lap, like these situations? Like, it's very weird. They end up going back to Reggie's house. She confronts him like she was trying to kill him, one of the strippers did, and then she runs out and leaves them there stranded, and they all go to jail. Supposedly that was based on something that really happened in real life. There were strippers that did say that a girl that was obsessed with Beyonce left them stranded somewhere, and I saw people talking about it, but I couldn't really find the facts because you have to know these people's names and they clearly didn't give us that in the show. So now we're on episode 3 and she's in a YouTuber's house and he is sliding across the floor, like, because clearly she was beating him with something, and she's like, who's your favorite artist? He says Lil somebody, and she's like, they only have 1 Grammy, Naja has 26. Why do you hate Naja? He's like, I don't, what are you talking about? So she's like, I have the receipts. So she pulls out her phone and he's like, Twitter, like, really? And she kills him. So, like, honestly, if their goal was to make me scared of Beyonce fans and make me not want to talk about Beyonce anymore on Twitter, they won. And if you're watching this and you have me on Twitter and you saw my little tweet, I said good morning to Beyonce and Beyonce stands only. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I meant that because I don't want no smoke with the Hive. They are wildin'. Y'all are killing people. Like, that's scary. She's still texting herself from Marissa's phone, by the way. Like, let's keep that in mind. This girl is nuts. In this episode, we are introduced to her new victim, Alice Dudley, who is a right-wing conspiracy theorist, like one of those Twitter accounts, you know, very Make America Great Again. And she's a Naja hater. So she's on Twitter to Naja saying, I thought you were a feminist, and then here you are with this man, and posting videos of the Solange and Jay-Z elevator fight. So we are seeing now clear parallels of real life and what's going on in this show. So the stans end up finding this woman's address and post it to Twitter. So whose lap does this magically fall into? Dre. So she starts stalking the girl and she's just following her around. She ends up following her all the way to the gym where she was gonna hit her with a weight. But while she's in the elevator, a man gets in. He has on a FL t-shirt, which is like a Jay-Z 444 shirt, and she gets a text from Marissa saying, follow the shirt, follow the jacket. Conveniently, first of all, I'm trying to figure out how she was holding a weight, her phone and Marissa's phone, while all of this was happening, like in this little elevator, while the lady is next to her and the man is in front. It was a lot going on. She is so unreliable of a narrator that we cannot know what we can trust on this screen. She follows this man. She breaks into his house. She has a whole... I'm confused because he let her, like, you know, people are very weird and trustworthy, like, you know, trusting, because she's breaking through his window, he lets her in, she stays, she's eating junk food, he's in like a junk food junkie remission, like he was addicted to junk food, and now he's like super clean eating and off of that. But then she's up in the middle of the night eating the junk food, he comes out and they're eating it together, and then they wake up and there's junk food all over the house, all over the bed. Disgusting. He asked her if she wants to come with him because he's the DJ at not Jay-Z's birthday party or album release party, and she's like, of course. So he takes her, she locks him in a freezer. She goes and finds Naija. She goes and finds Naija. She sees her. In front of Naija is a food cart. The food cart has plums on it. She picks up a plum and she bites into the plum. She's eating the plum. She's enjoying this big, juicy purple plum. She was biting Naija's face. Y'all remember in real life the whole Who Bit Beyonce scandal? Then the best part was when she's leaving, she runs out because the girl was like, you just bit Naija. And there's these guys in the back of the building, and he's like, yeah, you know who that was? That was the girl from Love and Basketball, because Tiffany Haddish says Sanaa Lathan bit Beyonce. Which, still, why would she do that? And then she, like, we still never got answers for that. Like, Beyonce doesn't clear anything up. She does not talk about anything. Like, they acted like it never happened. Like, no, nobody actually bit Beyonce. Yes, they did. Somebody bit Beyonce. Like, listen, Childish Gambino knows something, and this whole show is like really giving us like a little inside look. And they even threw a jab at Jesse Williams in there. I was trying to figure out what that was about. Like, he was like talking to her and was like, you know me, like I'm from Grey's Anatomy and blah blah blah. Like, does he do stuff like that? Because why did y'all throw that in there? Like, that was just really shady. But there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes and people know about and they talk about, and then they want us to think that we're crazy and that they didn't actually happen. They want to sweep it under the rug. Yeah, I think these things happen. Dre keeps rewatching this video of Marissa walking through a parking lot after a Naija concert, and she's basically saying, like, Naija's our queen, she's perfect, she's beautiful, we must protect her, she's our sister. And you can see that that was like the real bond that Marissa and Dre had, was like through Naija and Naija's music, and like having this weird parasocial relationship with this artist. And it's like, I need people to understand, you don't know these people. Like, the screen is, no matter how much they let you in, you don't know them. And a lot of them aren't real people. Like when she said she's not like us, she speaks for us, she takes our pain, and exactly, they play on the pain, they harvest the energy of how real life people are feeling in situations that people are going through that they know that they'll relate to, they know what will sell, and then they take on that persona, and then that's what they put out. It doesn't matter if that's what they're really going through, if they can relate to it or not. Y'all don't know whose husband is really cheating on them, who's feeling what way about this week, who's going on, and then people will really get into these fields. And that's why I said, when these albums drop, they're strategically dropped at certain times too. Don't let that energy harvest you. You know how many people broke up with their boyfriends when SZA did? How many people went back with their ex? How many people started feeling ugly and feeling down because they feel like, I used to be special, now I'm just a loser? And like, these words and these things that you let into your energetic field, if you're not awake to it, because like, people will see me listening to certain stuff and they're like, oh, how can you listen to music like this? Or how can you do that and then talk about things you do? And it's like, I don't always listen to music like that, but sometimes it's on, sometimes the song sonically sounds beautiful to me, and I listen for the harmonies in the background, and I don't let the lyrics absorb into me. But some people don't have that strength to do that. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm the strongest, I'm the most powerful, I'm above all of this. It's not that. It's if you are also able to listen to it without taking those things onto you, then by all means. But a lot of people can't just listen to some music and not worship the artist, not go under the artist post, be like, yes girl, you're so amazing, you're so perfect, you're the queen. They can't do that. Like, it's literally not in them to just sit back and just be like, okay, this is cool, I like this. It's never that simple for a lot of people, and I don't understand it. It's really dangerous to create these relationships these one-sided things. Like, Beyonce doesn't follow anybody, she doesn't answer fans, she doesn't speak to anybody, she doesn't do interviews. Like, there's a lot of disconnect. This is funny because I was saying at least I can understand some of the barbs, because Nicki will sit on Twitter and talk to the barbs. She will go on live and just talk shit and just do what she's doing. And whether it's orchestrated or not, I can understand why the fans feel connected to her. Even like one of my friends, Nicki paid her college tuition. Like, she is graduated and is in a great career right now because Nicki paid her tuition. And she just had to promise to graduate. And she did it. So, like, I understand why she is a stan. So I would never be like, girl, like, you're bugging out. Like, this girl don't do nothing for you. Like, she don't pay your rent. Like, but she actually did. Like, you know, I get it. And I'm not saying Beyonce does nothing behind the scenes, but her, and even in the show, they poke a lot at her and her money-hungry husband and how, you know, they are not the best people. Like, everybody who was anti-Naija, nothing that they said was wrong. Dre was just so blinded that she couldn't see. I gotta get out of New York because I'm so desensitized. You see how annoyed I get because I'm hearing sirens, but me hearing sirens means that somebody is in need of help right now. Like, I'm sitting here comfortable filming a video and someone is in distress, and that's why I'm hearing sirens. But for some reason, I'm annoyed that I'm hearing sirens because I'm filming a video. Like, that is next level insane, and I need to check myself because that's crazy. But it's just like, you're interrupting me, I'm sorry. But like, that, just that little moment, I just needed to really come back to reality. But yeah, episode 4, Dre gets stopped by a racist cop and he follows her into town, and when she gets into the store, this girl's kind of like checking her temperature, basically like, oh, that's what you're getting, I like those are a really good choice. She's looking at what she's looking at, trying to figure out what's going on, sees that she's kind of weary about the cops, so she goes outside and tells the cops stop bothering a black woman and blah 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 and all this stuff, gets rid of him. And then she's like, hey, like, you know, I got rid of him for you, and I'm Cricket, and this and that, like, you should come hang out with me and my friends. And like, they know what to look for, and Dre gives off lost puppy, like, obsessive, like, you know, she gives off that energy. So she invites her back to this place, and Dre was willing to go. Like, there was not really much doubt in her mind about her going with them. It was that she didn't want to miss this Naija concert. So she's like, how far is where y'all are at from the festival? They're like, oh, it's like, it's super close, like, we're all going too. So she's like, okay, fine. She goes with them. They introduce her to Eva, which is Billie Eilish's character. Billie Eilish played the hell out of a cult leader. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, she ate that. Like, I was sold. I forgot she was a pop star. I forgot that was Billie. I was like, oh, she's really, like, she was good, if you know what I mean. Ava and Dre, oh, Dre is Kayla, by the way, in this episode. Whatever, she, you know, she's going town to town killing people. She gotta keep changing her name. She can't be Dre. So Ava's telling Dre how she feels so drawn to her, and she's like, I feel so connected to people with at the end of their name. Layla, Ava. So then Dre comes in like, Marissa? And she's like, yeah, exactly. And she gets like all excited and like she's feeling connected to her. Girl, your name is not even really Kayla. Wake up. What are you talking about? How is this lady connected to you and your name is not actually Kayla? But you're so stupid and so in love with Marissa that you are going into a cult right now. Okay. This is the same thing that I talk about. Like, people think they have so much discernment, but like the fake pages will hit you up on Instagram and be like, I felt your energy, I felt your power, and they'll tell you something so generic, and then y'all will be like, that's exactly what I'm going through. Oh my gosh. Let me give you my money. Was this really you who said that? Does that look like me? That's that. All the stuff I tell y'all all the time. Do y'all think I would be the one to go into your DM and say that to you? After I say every day, I don't DM. I don't take clients in my DMs. I will never DM you. I'm not going to do that because I know that there are scammers out there that will DM people and do all that. So I'm not going to follow anybody. I'm not going to DM anybody. And that's just that. I just wanted that little lesson on discernment because I watched it with Dre in the show. And then I'm like, this is so many people. I watched this happen. And y'all, a lot of, not y'all specifically, but like people out there. Like, a lot of people are so ready to be snatched up by a cult, and you think that you're so above it and know so much and you're so woke, a cult will snatch y'all right on up. Speaking of cults, Billy's cult, Decawin, was clearly a play on Nexium, which was a cult ran by Keith Raniere. And Nexium was presenting itself as some type of multi-level marketing company that was working on human development. But in reality, the women were being groomed by Allison Mack from Smallville. Yeah. And sold into, to be exploited by Keith Raniere. And Billy explained Decawin being as this women's empowerment group, unlocking the female potential, and saying all we ask for is bond and all this stuff. And this is why I don't trust the love and lighters and the everything is just good and we're just here and we're sisters and it's a bond and all that stuff. It's some people are really genuine, don't get me wrong, some people are, but you have to have discernment, because a lot of this stuff is just I see straight through all this. Y'all are crazy people. Let's get into the therapy sessions that Ava, Billy, whatever, was doing with Dre. This was MK Ultra. I know a lot of people think that it's hypnosis and all this stuff is this big thing, and you have to go to sleep and you have to let someone in, or your brain has to be shocked. There's different levels to everything. This is a very entry level MK Ultra mind control, hypnosis, give me answers that I want and do what I want. She got her to give her real name, got her to tell her life story, things that she was very bent on not doing. She's already made it from a few towns and successfully kept her identity under wraps. We know that she's not stupid. So these therapy sessions are really hypnosis sessions, and she's snapping, what's your name, what's your this, what's your that, and we're seeing this. And this is why I try to tell y'all, it can be so easy for you to be listening to a song and get hypnotized, because certain snaps in the song, certain melodies that are happening, certain things that you don't know. Beyonce in Dubai, all of those runs that she was doing, those were it was a siren song, a siren call, and it felt so weird when I was listening to it. I did not like it, and that's why I didn't play it anywhere. I didn't repeat it, because I just didn't even want to post about it and keep spreading it, because it was just so it was making me uneasy. And even Lil Uzi, when people are oh, I can't stop playing your song, and he's oh, it's hypnosis, and I think it's a joke. A lot of the songs on the TikTok algorithm have hypnosis, actual, and even just TikTok in general was there to attack our attention spans and make us want shorter styled content, so that we can just keep mass producing things and people aren't really focusing and they're just jumping from one topic to the next, so that you don't really stay focused and you don't think about what's important. During their hypnosis session, she asked Dre about the first time she heard Naija, and she was she was at her grandmother's house and she spilled milk on the floor, and her grandmother was crying, saying, Dre, what did you do? And Billy's what color was the milk? And she was it was red. She was did you hurt somebody? And she was yeah. And Billy's good. What are we talking about? So they're letting us know off rip that she's been hallucinating and she's been unreliable from the jump, because even when she was younger, she hurt someone and she thought she spilled milk. Girl, that's blood. And this brings me back to why I believe that she killed Marissa, because while she's hearing Ava doing this hypnosis snap and she's saying name, and this time she's seeing Marissa inside the car, and when she says name, it's Marissa saying Naija, and Marissa's in the outfit that she died in. She's asking Dre, what did you do? And she's reaching into the fridge and she grabs a plum, and when she pans out from the fridge, there's a bunch of junk food all over the floor, all over the place. So now we're seeing Marissa in her green jumpsuit that she died in, asking Dre, what did she do? Eating a plum, and there's junk food everywhere. We know that when Dre bit Naija, she bit into the plum. We know that after every kill she has, she eats a bunch of junk food, which is also interesting, because my mom used to have a patient and he was schizophrenic, and every time he would spaz out, he would need a big meal after, every single time. And she would come home from work and she would tell me about it. And that's just interesting to me. Is that a trait of because I think Dre splits too. I think she has a lot of personalities. It was so easy for her to become Tony, which we will get into. But yeah, that whole showing Marissa's face and then having her say, what's your name? And she says Naija. We're already seeing that she can't really tell Marissa and Naija apart at this point. They're just two women that she loves and will do anything for. Because her first kill, if not Marissa, was Khalid. And she did that out of her love for Marissa. She killed him because he disrespected Marissa or tried to take Marissa from her. Everybody else was because either they disrespected Naja or they disrespected Marissa as well. So there's no difference between them in her mind. And still in this hallucination where Billy is snapping and asking her these questions and she's seeing Marissa, and they're kind of showing us that she was the one who killed Marissa. Marissa hits her with a frying pan, and we just are skipped to the next scene. She wakes up and she's looking for her phone. Nobody knows where her phone is. She has this big mark on her forehead. Billy's like, oh, you fell. You don't remember falling? No, I don't remember falling because somebody knocked you out and took your phone and did what God knows what else to you, because you're in a cult, girl. You got to get out of here. But then I'm sitting here like, why do I even feel bad? Like, you're a murderer. Like, and this is what I don't like, because they romanticize these killers and they get us into their heads and then they make us feel bad for them. And it's like, I know everybody has an origin story, but then that's the thing too. It's like we start to make all these excuses for why people are bad people, but then what about the other people who went through bad things and didn't become serial killers? We just X that out. That episode for me just like really showed how simple it is to bring someone into a cult, like if their mental isn't strong enough. Because Dre would have definitely stayed longer if her obsession with Naja wasn't stronger than like her will, because Billy had her like there for a minute. Like, she was there and she kept on asking questions just because of Naja. If not, she would have just been there chilling with those girls. She would have got branded and did all of the stuff. I put money on it. Now we're in episode 5 and Dre is at the mall and she's trying to get Marissa's phone turned on after her dad cut it off. Now we're really starting to see something is completely off with Dre and Marissa's family, because Ricky Thompson, who was the store clerk or whatever, he offered to call the dad to see if, you know, he could turn the phone back on, and she refused. She did not want anybody to know that she had this phone. There's a clear disconnect with the family. She ends up leaving the store and she sees a poster for Naja and Cache, which is the fake Jay-Z, their Running Scare tour, which is clearly a play on their On the Run tour. And she bumps into Marissa's old manager from the kiosk from episode 1. Dre tells her this whole elaborate ass story about how she met Naja's mother and sister and all this stuff, and she's been doing their makeup for years and she's crying, and it's just the way she was believing her own story frightened me. Like, girl, none of this has been happening, but she really in her mind thinks that she's out doing stuff to continue Marissa's legacy. And then like you could tell that the girl knew that she was lying, but like she was just kind of letting her go on like, oh, this is sad. Fast forward, she's now outside of this house and she's breaking in, and it looks like she knows her way around the house. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is clearly Marissa's parents' house. She gets in the house. We see all of these childhood pictures of Marissa, mom, dad, an urn of a son who had died, all of these things, nothing that Dre even existed. So now we can, you know, take a guess, like, this isn't Dre's family, huh? She finds one picture and unfolds the side and she's in that picture, but we do know now that she was a foster child and that they took her in, and we see that, like, you know, they really did try their best to erase her time that she spent there. But honestly, I feel like we could tell from the beginning that they weren't giving related, and it was weird how she was like kissing on Marissa's scars and like they were like really close, and it just wasn't giving sister. So I knew that something was, you know, going on there. So in the middle of her break-in, the parents come home. The mom sees her with the gun and she's like, are you here to finish off what you started? The parents believe that she killed Marissa. Nobody thinks that Marissa killed herself. So now I'm really sold on my theory that this girl, because I really did not feel like she did. And then here her parents, her dad is ready to go to war for it and he's shooting at her. It's like this whole mess. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that I really did not think that Marissa killed herself. And the parents saying that was a go for me to like run with my theory. Episode 6. Okay, so let me say this before we get into this episode, because a lot of people were confused about episode 7 after episode 6. Episode 6 is the real last episode. Like, if they would have never gave us episode 7, we can just rely on the facts that were in episode 6, because that was a true crime, real-time perspective of what was happening. No, that was not a real episode. Everything in that episode was still fake. It was still part of the show. If you watch Atlanta, you'll know that Childish Gambino did that in like season 4. It was like a goofy movie episode, something that has something to do with Disney, and it was like a true crime episode. I don't really watch Atlanta like that. I've seen episodes because people I know watch it, but yeah, this show was a lot like Atlanta in the ways that it was shot and just the way it feels. It was very similar. This whole true crime episode, it was my favorite because I love watching actual like First 48 type things and like true crime, but it was still fake. So it was like a show within a show. I need people to remember that. The telephone number at the end of the episode was not real. If you call it, it'll ask you who's your favorite artist, and you're supposed to say Nyjah. So yeah, it's not a real thing. You don't call that if you know anything about Andrea Green, because Andrea Green specifically is not a real person who, while the show is loosely based on things that actually did happen, they're not real people. Everybody mentioned. Some people. The detective that was working the case in this whole episode was saying Beyonce, and they kept bleeping her name out. So this whole episode was no more Nyjah. It was just straight up Beyonce, 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 and they still kept bleeping it out, but we know what it was about. They had the fan there with the Ivy Park outfit on and the whole room full of Beyonce merch and memorabilia. That same fan, while they're asking him questions about the fan who's killing people and all these things, he's like, we wouldn't do that. We keep people in place for the queen, and we do this. It's a lot of we, us, ours, like, and that's our queen, and we would do anything for her. It's no sense of identity, no sense of self. They asked you, would you do that for Beyonce? I don't think we would. Like, that's why I think it's so easy for certain types of people to do certain types of things, because you already have this disconnect with self. And they keep bringing up how expensive Beyonce tickets are, which I think is so funny, because people really are selling their kidneys in their homes over these freaking tickets, ending friendships because their friend can't go to a concert with them and this is what they want to share with them. But y'all think it's far-fetched. The same people that I've seen go crazy over artists and stuff like that was talking about the show, talking about how crazy Dre was because she was killing people. That was the one step away from the things y'all be doing. Posting people. The people who posted the address of the woman who Dre went to kill are just as to blame as Dre, because what did y'all think? What did y'all want people to do with that? You wanted to provoke someone that who would do that because you can't or you couldn't. You shouldn't, but what did you do that for if that's not the outcome you wanted? Because you're no better than that person. We meet one of Marissa's old friends, and she tells a story about how Dre was kept in the attic when she was Marissa's foster sister, and there was a birthday party for Marissa. The father was supposed to keep her in the attic, but at some point during the sleepover something happened and Dre jumped on top of the girl because she thought she was attacking Marissa, and she stabbed the girl in the neck, like in the shoulder area, like she stabbed her. And the girl was saying, she just kept saying, sorry I spilled the milk, sorry I spilled the milk. So again, we're seeing that when she's hurting people and she sees blood spill, she's seeing milk. So in the beginning, now we think when she's eating the pie, she's seeing milk. She's eating pie and milk. When she has all these junk foods around her and all these snacks, after she kills somebody, she's cleaning up milk. She's cleaning up spilled milk. She's eating junk food and there's milk around. Like, it's crazy. And they even mentioned that the father thought that Dre and Marissa's relationship was a little funny, meaning that he thought they were gay, or at least thought Dre was gay and obsessed with Marissa, which was very clear early on. And especially it was funny that Khaled thought that she was watching him when she was clearly watching Marissa. And that ties into a lot of things too, like a lot of friendships and a lot of these trauma bonds that people build, and you think you have like just a cool friend and like this is your girl and you're hanging the whole time. She's in love with you. She's obsessed with you. Does not want you to be friends with anybody else. She wants you to herself. And like that love goes beyond friendship, beyond being platonic. Like they want you, or they want to be you, and it's like you have to watch that too. It's really crazy. You can't like, ooh. Dre is going by Tony now. At the end of this true crime episode, we see the detective telling us that Dre's going by Tony and she was arrested in Atlanta at a Nyjah concert, and they show a clip of a man running on stage. That was the end of that episode. She said, hold her there for me. And that was it. This is why I said this was the real last episode. These are the only facts that we can rely on because they were not told by Dre. We know that Tony was arrested at the Nyjah concert. We know that Tony did not make it up there and do any of the stuff that we are about to talk about in episode 7. Okay? Now we're in episode 7, and this is why people get serial killed. Because, let me not blame the people, but come on. How is Rashida, our new love interest of Tony, how is she letting this random person into her home and you just met them. They offered to give you a ride outside the club. You was already skeptical. You were doing well. Then you got in the car and then you let her help you all the way up the stairs, all the way up with your roommate. Put your roommate in the tub. Now you're staying. Now you're smoking. Now you're hanging out. Like, people are too trusting, because it couldn't be me. Thank you for the ride. I don't even think I would have took the ride, because there's no evidence of me getting in this ride. I didn't call a Lyft. I didn't call a cab. I didn't do it. I don't know. And in my younger years, I've done dumb things like this with my friends. Never by myself, because I don't make decisions like this. But again, that whole hive mind mentality, maybe just not going with my gut and being with people and they're like, oh no, we'll be fine. Will we? Why am I getting in this random car with people like that we barely know? But yeah, so. And she's homeless. Like, she was just literally in the back of the van trying to brush her teeth. Like, I don't know the last time this girl showered. Like, just dirty. Anyway, they sitting on the couch and this girl says she hates Nyjah. Hates her. Like, not even just, oh, I don't really, I hate Nyjah. Turn that off. Like, you don't hate her? And she's like, no, that's my girl. That's my favorite girl. I love her. That's my favorite girl. First of all, the way she started acting, talking, saying that would have been our last conversation. Because what do you mean that's your favorite girl? Which mean, like, what are we talking about right now? And it was just very weird. I thought she was going to take something off of the table and crack it upside her head. Like, your roommate's already asleep. Nobody's here. What do you mean you hate Nyjah? And you face to face with it. She didn't kill people for less. Like, she's left certain cities to go find someone else because they tweeted something. And you right in her face, and she's gonna continue this conversation. I was so confused, man. I was confused. Then she asked her, she was like, oh, so you're not gonna ask me for my number or whatever? She's like, oh, I don't have a phone. She's like, why? She's like, trying to break a habit. So I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe we're growing. Maybe she's trying, like, she sees this is not working out for her. This is not the right thing. Like, I think like her changing her image had a lot more to do with like being on the run. But then also I feel like there was probably this disconnect, because she said when she was talking to Billy that people would call her, like, father said he thought they were funny. So you can tell that there is this person fighting with their sexuality and all of their feelings and all their thoughts. So we could tell that she was not straight. Well, I mean, I could. And I feel like she looked a lot more comfortable as Tony. And I feel like maybe now she's living as this person. She's trying to fight this habit of looking on the internet and looking for next victims and being obsessed with Nyjah and everything that happened. So she was able to kind of like, all right, you hate Nyjah, but this is kind of cool. Like, you're still kind of cool. I love Nyjah though. It was kind of that kind of energy. She's aware that she's addicted, because she knew when she was telling the guy who was addicted to food, like, I'm addicted to, you know, what I'm addicted to. That drive of having someone that she would do anything for and needing to feel connected to a sense of like community or someone that she can relate to. And right as she said she was kicking this habit or whatever, we get a scene of her going inside of like a gas station, convenience store, whatever it is, and they're playing Nyjah on the TV, and it's like a spark in her, like a little kid in a candy store. She's just like in a trance again, and you notice that something inside her lights up again. The music is scary, man. I'm telling you, like, it's just something like there's hypnosis in the music, because she was doing so well. She didn't kill this girl after she said she hated Nyjah. If that doesn't say so much. Then she leaves there and she sees the cops are looking for her, so she dips off. She ends up running back into Rashida again, and then they actually start dating for a while. And during them dating, like, we're getting little glimpses of it. She keeps pulling up in different cars and these new outfits, and she has these things. So now we see she's still killing. She's killing and stealing, but she's not doing it in the name of Nyjah now. She's doing it trying to win Rashida's heart and trying to build something with Rashida. How she was doing things for Marissa after a while. So she needs someone to give her this drive to do certain things. And even before, let's not give all the credit to Rashida or whatever too, because we saw that she had a car before that, so she was taking cars and doing stuff. But now she's trying to impress her as well and make it seem like she's has a job, like she's getting money, like she's doing something. And we know that she doesn't get these things for free, and she doesn't just take and then leave. Like, she almost always gets rid of someone for these things. Rashida ends up taking her back home to meet her parents, and she comes from like such a sweet home. It stressed me out. They were so accepting of her. Like, she was finally feeling like she belonged somewhere, and like she really was loving this girl, and she was so happy. And then she has to go and ruin it. And I saw a lot of people trying to sympathize, empathize, whatever, with Dre on this scene, and I will go to war with y'all. There is no way y'all watched the same show that I watched and y'all thought, poor Dre in that scene. She spent over $4,000 from a credit card she stole offline, just like the beginning episode, like she did with Marissa when they needed to pay rent. She went and paid for the tickets instead of paying their rent. And she comes home and, like, if this is a surprise for the girlfriend who already told you from the beginning that she hates Naija, and y'all clearly had all these conversations within your relationship about how much she hates Naija, and you just not getting it through your head because you keep wanting to share Naija with her. She don't want to share Naija. She said, if you really want to do something, give me tickets to go see her sister. There was mad jabs at that whole Solange is better than Beyonce thing. Anyway, and people were like, oh, if y'all been in a relationship this long, you know she likes Naija, why not just compromise and go with her? It's not even about liking Naija or not. This is our anniversary, something for both of us. It's not about you, and this is not about your love for Naija. And I told you that I hate her. And even aside from all of that, you have not paid rent. She had to ask her parents for money, and we already saw how independent she wanted to be and all these things. So now you got me asking my parents for money. There was just so much wrong there, and I don't understand how anybody could feel bad for Dre in that moment. Then she choked her out. That was the first time we saw her kill somebody and feel like remorse. Like she felt sad for a second. Like it's like she really didn't want to do it, but then like as she was burning her body, because yeah, she did that, she was not remorseful. The only thing she really cared about was the tickets at that point that she was burning. So you spent all that money on the tickets, you killed her, and you burned her, got your karma instantly. But then she still went to the concert and killed the man who was outside selling the tickets. Then covered in blood from just killing this man in the car. I'm like, how did she get past everybody and just get straight to the stage and go up there and all this? It was so much happening. She walked straight in and just like kept going. She was walking through everybody. It was like a dream. I'm like, there's no way all of this is real the way this is happening. Like this is not a real experience. She runs up on the stage, gets up there, and now Naija is Chloe. If that wasn't the most symbolic thing ever, the fact that they would put Chloe's face in not Beyonce's body like that, because y'all seen all the things that I've posted on Instagram of how Beyonce has been slowly morphing into Chloe and vice versa, and how they're sharing the same Sasha Fierce demon, all of the, you know, correlations between Chloe and Beyonce. And then they did this in this show. Come on, like it was so obvious. And then we see Naija stop her security and say, no, let her sing, let her talk, whatever, gives her the mic. And she's like, I love you all. And she's getting all this love and like all this praise. And that's all she ever wanted. So she's clearly making this up in her head. Nobody gave her that. Even if it was written in the show that way, I'm gonna let you know exactly why right now. That's not real. Beyonce would never let that happen on stage and just stay there and be like, no, let them cook. Like, come on, be real. And Beyonce's not escorting a fan off the stage and getting in a car with them and saying, yeah, come with me. No. That was the cops escorting her out, and that's why when she was in the back seat with Chloe, Beyonce, Naija, whatever, and hugging them, and you see the red and blue lights flashing in the back, she was in the back of a cop car. So she never made it to the stage to touch Naija, just like she probably never left the house and went to that club or met that white man when she was killing Marissa. The show really left us with a lot of unanswered things. It was kind of like a lot of it was just like up for interpretation. I think that's what makes it even more scary, because it's just so much unanswered. It's like, wow, y'all really ate with that. From now on, if anybody asks me who my favorite artist is, I'm asking them who theirs is first, and I'm just gonna agree. I don't have time. One positive thing I do have to say is Dominique Fishback, girl, that girl's a star. The levels and layers of the character, she did amazing. This whole show, it was good. If I wasn't looking at it for what we know it is, I would probably appreciate it even more, like on a fan level, but for what it was and what I decoded from it, yeah. Oh man, how did you guys feel about the show? It was a lot. Like, it was just sent me through a lot of emotions. I'll tell you what. It's like I just feel like this happens so often. Like, things like this happen. We hear stories, and even like with things that I do on my channel and on my Instagram page, when I put things together and I put pieces together and connect things that most people would be like, this isn't connected, but it is. And I just know it is. I feel it is. And then just like that, the detective in episode 6, for a lot of things that most detectives would have looked at and saw isolated incidences, she saw, wait, this is one woman going from town to town, and it's a black woman, and she's using this and she's doing that and that's and that, because she had the eyes to see, because she knew what she was looking for, and she could somehow relate to what was going on. With what I do, I know what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, the signs, because I've been there and I've studied it. So off of what I've actually encountered and what I can actually research and put behind the things that I can speak on, people always think things are a reach, and they think that everything's so far-fetched, and then when it's laid out right in front of you, y'all miss out on serial killers and you gonna let one into your house because you don't want to believe nothing. I am scared of the Beehive, though. I'll tell you, they already started with me on Twitter because I posted how it's convenient that Pimp C allegedly had a tape of him and Beyonce, and he was unalived on December 4th, 2007 on Jay-Z's birthday, and 4 months before Jay-Z and Beyonce were married on April 4th, 2008. And the Beehive went crazy. They're like, are you accusing her of being a murderer? Are you saying her and her husband are that crazy and that worried about what people might think? Yes, actually. Beyonce doesn't even do interviews anymore because she cares too much about what people think, about the way she talks, about what she says, what she could say wrong, what she could do wrong. You don't think that they would stop a corn tape from coming out because it would deplete her entire image? Yeah, I think so. But I mean, allegedly, Nyjah, we're talking about Nyjah right now. We're not even talking about that beautiful, amazing, talented woman that the show is based on. No, we're talking about the fake one right now. I'm talking about Nyjah. Dre? Actually, I'm not talking about anybody. I'm actually a show within a show, and all of this is alleged. I think that's what they wanted. I think that's what they want from us. Like, I think the show was made to scare the conspiracy theorists. They just wanted to show how the stands are going to act so that we could stop what we're doing. Because she killed a Trump supporter, a YouTuber, and she killed the people on Twitter that had it. Like, come on. Hollywood is funny. And there's really people arguing too that were like arguing with me about the show, like, oh, you're not really taking this serious, or you don't really think this is serious. It is. These are based on actual things that happen, loosely or not. These things happen like enough times for people to sit there and collect it to make a show about it. And you're like, oh no, nobody's really that crazy, nobody's really killing people. How do you know? How do you know? This has been a very long video. So with all that being said, I think we can end it here. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think about my theories and my Easter eggs that I found, and what you felt while you were watching the show. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and you subscribe. If you're not subscribed and you stayed this long, what are you doing? Like, I love you guys. I will see you in my next video. So